Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Ellie Lee and this is Ellie Lee Designs. Now in today's project, I'm going to be working on a children's puzzle using some wooden blocks that I purchased on Amazon. It is a great beginner's project, and for this particular tutorial, I'll be using Cricut Design Space. Now before you get started, you want to make sure you take a look at the description box below to take a look at all the items that you'll need in this project. If you're new to my channel, I encourage you to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell to make sure that you don't miss any of my weekly videos. I post every Sunday and I occasionally will be posting throughout the week, so make sure that you stay tuned for those bonus videos. And without any further ado, let's get started. Before we get started in Cricut Design Space, we're going to go ahead and unwrap our blocks so that we can take a measurement of the space that we have to work with. Now that we're in Cricut Design Space, the first thing we want to do is click on Images, and we're going to type in the theme that we want to use for the puzzle. In this particular case, I wanted to go with sort of an ocean theme, so I typed ocean in the search box. And then I looked through all of the images that came up, and I started to select all the ones that I thought I would want to use as part of this children's puzzle. So to help make your search a little bit easier, you can go over to the left to the Layers tab and just select Single, and that'll just filter down the images so that you're looking at the single layers that can be easily used in this project. You can also change the search criteria as many times as necessary to help narrow down the search for the specific image that you're looking for. Once you've selected the images that you want, you just click on the Insert Images button on the lower right, and all the images will transfer onto your canvas. Then just spread your images out so that you can easily see them, and then we move right into the next step, and that's sizing the images for the space that we have to use on our blocks. Now I only needed 6 images and I selected 7 because I was undecided on one, but that's okay because I could just delete it after. Now in order to resize the images, I'm going to go over to the left to the Shapes tab and click on the square, and then I'm going to resize the square to the full size of the blocks that we're going to be using for the puzzle. Now the surface area that I'm going to be working with is 9.5 by 8 inches, so I resize my square by clicking on the padlock and unlocking it so that I can size each side differently. And now I have my template that I can use to resize my images with. And all I did is one by one, I brought the image over and made it bigger depending on how I wanted it to look on the blocks. And you can size it to whatever size looks right for you. It can be small, medium, or large. I wanted to do something larger to cover as much of the surface area that I could. And then once you have all your images sized, you'll go over to the upper right hand side and click on the Make It button. And before moving on to the next step, I went ahead and just moved the images on the mat so that they use the least amount of surface area, because I just wanted to save on my vinyl. So you can use the little icon on the right, the little kind of round arrow icon on the right, and just drag the image until you find the position that works well for you. Then we click continue, we select our material, and we're going to be using removable vinyl today because that is actually all I had, but I'll show you something I'm going to do later to help preserve the life of the vinyl. I kept the pressure at default, and now I'm ready to go ahead and prepare my vinyl so that I can insert it into my Cricut machine. Now today I'm going to be using this little Cricut cutter to help me evenly cut these pieces of vinyl. It's a lot faster. Typically if I'm just going to be cutting off one piece, I don't use it just because a pair of scissors will do just fine, but I'm going to be cutting 6 sheets, so I did break it out for the purposes of just making it faster and just a cleaner cut. It's actually a really convenient tool, really easy to use, it stores well, and if you're interested, I'll make sure to leave it in the description box below. Now once my vinyl was cut, because I didn't change the colors of the images in Cricut Design Space, all of my mats are actually black. So to make sure that I am using the right color on the specific mat that's being cut at that time, I went ahead and numbered my pieces of vinyl just to keep them from getting mixed up. But you don't have to do this, you can just change the color to each of the images in Cricut Design Space, but this will work too. Another thing that I did as a backup is also lined up my vinyl rolls so that I can visually see them and they were in the order in which I was going to be doing my cuts. Next, we lay all of our pieces of vinyl on our cutting mats so that we can go ahead and put them into the machine. Now, you don't have to have 6 cutting mats. If you have one, that's perfectly fine. You just load one piece at a time, and once it's finished, you peel the mat off of your vinyl and then you load the next piece of vinyl. But because I was multitasking, I wanted to just go ahead and apply all of my pieces of vinyl onto the cutting mat so that I can just easily swap them out once my Cricut machine prompted me to do so. For the purposes of this tutorial, I went ahead and already weeded out my vinyl. So the next step is the application of the vinyl onto the wooden block. And I used my wax paper so that it would be easier to work with because it is a much larger piece of vinyl. And I've used this technique in a couple other videos before that you're also welcome to check out. I do recommend the wax paper. It works really well and just makes life so much easier. And once I applied the vinyl, I used my X-Acto knife to cut the vinyl in between each of the blocks, and I used my stab and grab tweezers to just adjust the vinyl if it had moved a little bit. I did towards the end, I think it was about the 5th or 6th side, I realized that I could just leave my transfer paper over the vinyl and cut it with the transfer paper on, and that actually helped to keep it in place. So I do recommend that you just keep the transfer paper on there, cut the image out with your X-Acto knife, and then peel the transfer paper off. I have a feeling that there's probably a much easier way to do this, and if you know of a way, please comment in the comment box below, because this definitely was a lengthy process, and if there's a way to cut down on the time, then that would be extremely helpful. But I did repeat this process for the remaining 5 images, and then I jumped into the next step, which was to apply a thin layer of the Waverly varnish in matte finish. And this is what I was going to use just to help extend the life of the vinyl that I use, especially since I was using the removable vinyl. I did do some research online to make sure that this is something I could use on kids' toys, and the Waverly varnish had come up on several different occasions when it talked about children's furniture and toys and things like that. So I was pleased to see that I already had it and I was able to use it for this project, and in the end it worked out perfectly. But I do encourage you to do your research. If you're going to be using any type of products on children's toys, make sure that you take a look at the products that you're using to ensure that they are non-toxic and would be safe to use on those projects. And once you finish applying the top coat, just set them aside to let them dry, and that's it. Alright, that's the end of the project. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also please leave a comment in the comment section below. I really love talking with you guys and just receiving your feedback. And if you do end up trying this project, make sure to tag me in my social media. I'll leave those links below. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And if you haven't subscribed, again, I do encourage you to subscribe to make sure that you don't miss any of my weekly videos, and make sure that you're hitting that notification bell so that you don't miss any of those videos. And until next time, bye.